Welcome back to the Curse of Silverthorn, and just to do a brief recap on what happened last, our heroes were beset by something rather extreme actually, ogres, two massive creatures, and sorry, I just saw Metatron's hats, not helmets, and also Matt is wearing a dashing hat, and Lloyd is dashing as well, and Sir James is as well. Jason is always dashing. They're all dashing gentlemen. They were beset by ogres, which was a very intense battle, and certain medical procedures were administered to one ogre, but then they had to flee. And luckily, they reached safety by managing to get to the Cragway watchtower. Unfortunately, they were not able to bring the horses with them or the pack mule, and we heard a death cry of these animals. And so Sir James is feeling very distraught as they have entered the watchtower, and they are met by four soldiers by the look of it, who seem very on edge, and they're kind of just looking around. They have bows on them. They came to your assistance, which seemed odd because they actually started shooting upon the ogres, but you also know they had shot upon the barge, so you're probably not sure what's going on there. But also Talon lost. Well, he doesn't know. He might have lost all his supplies. He was able to unpack half of his goods at the base of the cliff, because there was a cliff face that goes up to the watchtower. And his was it a mule, horse? I can't remember.
Pony.
Had to escape with the rest of his goods and is now presumably dead. And so Talon is assumedly rather worried about what's going on. And William and Alithea, could you what's going through your characters' minds at the moment?
I've got fewer animals to look after and far fewer things to clean. So that's got to be good. I'm now wondering whether it would have been best if I hadn't saved one of my two master's destriers, admittedly his less favorite of the two. It's probably going to poo all over the floor in here, and I imagine that'll be my job, but it could be handy later on for him to still have a charger. Although, of course, I did leave one of his lances in the forest.
Did you drag one of the horses up? I thought all of them were behind.
I even made a roll for it. Don't you remember in last week's exciting installment, I made a roll to see if it was his favourite or not.
I remember you picking which one, but when we got to the stairs, I had assumed you all abandoned them. Because it was so hard to get them.
I was going up the stairs with the horse. In fact, at one point, the horse was between me, the guy with the bald chin.
All right. I don't remember this, but one of the horses survived, thankfully, luckily.
Thank you, William. You're marvellous.
Oh, it was a pleasure, sir. An honour.
Well done. You should have some more food for breakfast. Make yourself an extra helping of food for breakfast.
An extra pie.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
So, Alithea, you would with your character's background, you've just come across, fairies, and now ogres of all things. This is very odd. You, being from the Fey yourself, you know how rare a thing it is for Fey creatures to fall into the realm. Rifts through the realms are not that common, yet to have such encounters so close together is very, very odd. So you're aware that this is not.
Yeah, I think what my character is thinking right now is that he starts to believe that probably he might be the cause of all of this, and therefore he's actually in a difficult time because he's trying to think: should I tell them or should I not? And that's what's going in his mind.
One of the soldiers steps forward and is looking at us like, I don't know how you guys survived that. We've been locked up here for days.
What were those creatures? What were they? We've never seen anything like this before.
Well, I think they were trolls. Just from the stories, I think they were trolls.
But trolls don't exist. They must be some type of local creature. You must have seen these before.
Of course trolls exist. Haven't you heard the stories? The troll under the bridge?
These are just children's tales. You must have seen creatures like this before.
I've never seen a creature like that. They kind of look at each other, and so there's one guy that he seems to be the leader. As he looks back to his other men for kind of support, but is the voice of the group. Sorry, so James, you're about to say something. It seemed.
I was just going to go over and shake William's hand and thank him very much for being a good servant, and offer him a gold piece as well, because I've decided that having extra helping of breakfast is not sufficient reward for doing that marvelous gift. So
James, Alithea, have you ever seen any creatures like this before? I know William hasn't, or he would have told me.
I've not seen anything like it at all. I'm amazed that the lance couldn't penetrate anything other than a particularly vulnerable area.
You penetrated something.
I mean, yeah. I have to commend you on your depth of penetration. Actually, I was surprised, and I hope that William will be happy to clean that spear off. Actually, I'm slightly concerned.
The lance went incredibly deep. I was quite surprised, but it didn't do that much internal damage, it seems, which is very surprising. In my experience of lance work, that would have transfixed even a creature of that size, but obviously not in this case. So there's something really strange about them, but
I must tell you, Sir James, I've travelled far and wide in my business, and I've never even heard of creatures like this in our time. Maybe in some far reaches they still exist. Maybe they existed in the past, but I've certainly never heard of any acting like this. Or I'm at loss. I don't know what to say. I don't know what's going on here.
Maybe children's tales, with the dragons and giants and things, but they did seem to be quite like giants. But
I've always thought that some of these tales must have had a root in something that existed a long time ago. But I've never even heard anyone telling tales of these sorts of things attacking people today in these times. I don't know what's going on.
Fintred steps forward. I think you're onto something, Sir James. Giants! Did you see how big they were? There are old tales of giants. We were attacked by giants.
But Fintred, have you ever heard of giants in our time?
I mean, not firsthand. I mean,
where could they come from? What would they eat? Creatures of that size, they couldn't go unnoticed.
They seem to have a taste for horses.
Well, so anybody who keeps horses would have noticed their horses going missing. These things have to eat. Where are they coming from? Where are they living? Are there more of them?
I may have the answers for you if you're ready to listen.
Alithea, tell us what you know.
I believe that what has attracted them may be me and the...
Well, I can understand that. You are an attractive fellow, I must say.
Well, I thought you were a woman myself, so I'm not sure they swing that way, though. It's like
I think it's a strange sort of curse to be attractive, but only to creatures of that sort.
I thank you. I thank you for your kind words, but that's not what I meant. If you remember my sword and my breastplate that you have asked me about, the ones that are made of silver.
Very fine work, I must say.
They are very special. And I believe that they are the things that attract people that come from a separate world that we call the Fey.
The Fey?
You mean
this to the east? There's some strange people with funny accents to the east. Is that what you mean?
I've travelled far to the east on my business, and I've never come to any land known as the Fey.
So if your characters are familiar with the old, children's tales and stuff, the Fae sometimes is mentioned briefly in like a poem or a couplet, and so it is known as the Land of Fairies. One or two of you might actually know of a different name. Perhaps Avalon is the word you've heard of it being called in certain tales and things. But some of you might have never heard of it. It's an obscure word, but Fintred says, the Fae? Oh, it sounds familiar, but what is that place?
Children's stories. We can't possibly being attacked by children's stories.
But I believe a moment ago you said that trolls and ogres and fairies and pixies were all part of children's stories, and yet we have all been attacked by them.
Well, you are absolutely right, and I have lanced one, so they're very substantial. and they definitely exist. And as William will attest, their gore is real.
One of the soldiers steps forward. That's actually not the only things we've seen. We've been, like I said, we've been locked up in this tower for a long time, and been a giant bear. When I say giant, I mean big as the ogres. There was a stag with antlers, huge, and there was also a woman, and she was not clothed. So we've been trying to.
William, do you know something about this, William?
Wasn't me, sir. Nothing to do with it.
William doesn't look like.
Have you been shagging again?
Are you overdue to be relieved here? I say to the guardsman.
Well, we've been locked up here for a long time, actually. They're kind of shaking. We haven't been down. You saw the creatures down there. There's been monsters, creatures. We were even trying to ward away the fairy by shooting at it so no one would come close.
How does your relief normally get here?
They all look to there's a door on the other side of the room that you're on, and they're just looking at it furtively. It says, well, we usually go through that way, but something's wrong.
How do you mean?
You can go take a look for yourself if you want. It's usually a tunnel that goes through the cliff and comes out on the other side. And there's a small little dot on the other side where the fairy sometimes takes port. But it doesn't... One, the tunnel now isn't as long as it should be, and it comes out into a different place that makes me sick. We don't know what's going on.
Can you tell me a little bit about this place?
I hear bells and chimes when I go in there. I feel dizzy. The sky is black but with no stars. You know exactly what it's talking about. That's your hometown.
I'm watching Alithea very, very carefully as the guard says this. If there's some, I don't know, roll I can make for reading him.
Perception you may roll.
Perception. Okay, good, because I'm really good at that.
So 3 plus your
5.
abilities, 5. Yeah, he does not look surprised at all. In fact, he's probably... Were you even nodding to yourself, Alithea, when I was talking?
Okay, so I picked up that he knew about this.
Yeah,
right,
he knew exactly what it was. And so the soldier keeps talking. So we can't even try and escape back to the settlement, to the town, to Silverthorn, because we try and go through the exit, the door. It doesn't lead to where it's supposed to go. And then we can't go the other way because it goes down the cliff face and the creature's there. And we'll be trapped here for a week. We'll be going crazy.
How are your supplies doing then? I mean, I look around. I mean, what have they got left? What munitions have they got?
So, as you look around, something that would stand out to you, Talon, is that this is an oddly well-equipped watchtower. In fact, there seems to be enough weapons, provisions here for, gosh, a full squad. And some of them are a bit pricey, in fact. Like you've lost some of your supplies and everything, but there's a lot of gear here, and there's a lot of provisions as well. Someone has equipped this watchtower to the brim, basically.
So obviously I said, who's all this equipment for? You've got way more stuff here than you need. Are you selling it?
Plan wasn't to sell them. It's just that our Lord Sarah Crow, he likes to keep this place well provisioned. He's a very rich man, Lord Sarah, with the silver mine, you see, and so, like, you know, he keeps it well provisioned. We did come down here with a couple with extra goods ever since the festival, but ever since the festival that things have been going strange. Like we've been, like I said, we've been locked here for over a week.
Do you normally have more men here?
But no, actually, well, we've lost 2 when they've tried to leave, and they haven't come back, and there's just the 4 of us left.
So this restocking of all your weapons and your food, how long before you got stuck did this happen?
Like I said, ever since the festival. We came back down from the festival up at Silverthorn, and then that's when everything seemed to... And then we were creatures, and we couldn't escape. And by the way, festivals are very common, though usually they're well known. You are not aware of any festival that, like if it was a festival of Saint so and so or festival. There was no festival recently, but they're talking about one. Which
can we roll to see if this man is lying?
Yeah, you can roll a perception on him.
I'd like to do that.
I'm looking around for clues for how long people have been here. I don't know, for instance, how dirty people's clothes have got, how worn out things are, how much fuel they seem to be going through with the fires, assuming they're burning fires.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So roll perception, please, and I'll be able to fill you in.
You might need to roll for me again.
Yes.
Another 5.
5. So you can tell that this is a well lived in, location, and the fire has been burning for quite a while. The ashes and things have been there, so that it looks like it's been kept lit for good. Very well could have been a week or more, and. So, doesn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary in terms of something that doesn't match up with what they're saying. And for you, Lee, you got 0, so you can't tell. These humans, sometimes their faces are hard to read.
Can I ask Eric if those monsters, since you know about weapons and things, I would quite like to know if you know a technique, martial, or a weapon that would allow me to attack them more effectively. Are you aware of, in your studies, are you aware of anything that Sir James, that I might use to fight them? Because I fear that we're just going to have to go out the front and fight them, or rather I will fight and you might all have to make a run for it.
It took me a moment to realize that Eric was me again.
Sorry, yes. Yes. I apologise. The name. I'm never paying attention to your name. Sorry, Eric. Ellis.
Ellie.
Alice. That's right. Definitely, that's the name. Alice.
Thank you.
Alice.
It's okay. You probably will never be able to pronounce it properly. So, in theory, time would be our best option, as usually creatures from the Fae can't really be in this reality that long, but it depends if there is a resupply, if there is some sort of a way or tunnel that has been opened that I don't know about.
We just block the way and wait. That's not.
Yes,
not really.
And again, use iron, because probably they will not the giants, but the fairies. They dislike iron.
So James, Alithea, can I propose that we leave this place?
Yes, but apparently the forest is filled with ogres, as far as I understand. And
I have to say, gentlemen, that I have fought many things and prevailed, and those were substantially more threatening than I was expecting.
Surely you wouldn't abandon this quest. We need you, Talon. We need you, Sir James. What is Lord Sarek supposed to do with all these things? We haven't heard from him. We don't even know if he's alive or not. And
this isn't at all what we signed up for, though. And what's in it for us?
I could promise you great rewards. Great rewards.
How great? Give me some numbers.
What's your price? I can speak on behalf of the Count himself. I'm sure of it.
My price would be a few 100 acres and a decent stud farm for more horses.
I'm sure, Lord Felion. I'm sure Lord Felion would be more than happy to grant this. If you can solve this dire problem, especially with creatures like this, I'm sure I could grant you that request.
Is it within the Count's powers to give free trade rights?
Within his county? Of course I can. I mean, he can.
Breath. sorry, but could you just give us a clarifying statement on the layout? So there is a cliff. At the top of the cliff is a tower, and the door which leads to supposedly a tunnel is at what level on that tower?
Yeah,
And-
so the door leads out to the other side of the cliff and presumably then to stairs or whatever level the ground level is on the other side. And he said that there was a dock on the other side, and that's the easiest way to get through. You saw like the kind of gouge in between the cliff face that the river has worn down over time, and presumably the valley beyond might have been a massive lake that this area blocked off, and then water eventually got through, and then after ages of time it just dug down all the way to make this kind of that gouge that the river is now currently running through. And so to try and get around through the gouge, you would need to go into the water because it's that steep and it goes into the water, and so it would be difficult to traverse and get to the other side really any other way apart from riverboat or through the tunnel that they pointed to. And remember, their description is very odd. They're saying it's leading to a completely different place.
Yes, that much I got, because that's magic. But I'm still a little bit hazy as to the layout of this place. So there is a tower, which is a single building.
Yes, and it's a square tower going up with several floors, and you're in the entryway, which is just a basic square room of moderate size, the circumference of the tower itself, with stairs going down, ladder going up to upper floors, door on the far side leading to the exit that they've pointed to.
Right, and this is surrounded on one side, there's cliffs down to a plain, which we came from.
Yes.
And then there's, on the same level as the tower, there's ground leading off to one side, or are we on a pinnacle?
You're not on so as the cliff comes up, okay, you've got the stairs that came up, and then the tower is somewhere halfway up the cliff face. And so the tower the tower is sitting on like a outcrop that was built on right there.
Ledge
sitting right next to it. And then there is a tunnel that leads through, and you don't know what ground level is on the other side of the cliff. So there presumably could be stairs leading down, or it could be flat ground. You don't know yet.
But I do understand that when the tunnel was working normally, that would lead to a dock with water. So it's that water that flows down the waterfall into the gorge.
Yes.
And the gorge cuts around, what, 180 degrees? Or
so when you're saying the kind of gap in between the cliff, okay, where the river is coming through, and so are you thinking, are you trying to see if there's a way to get through that way, through the gorge itself?
Okay, so if we think about it, right. Okay, so if we have a 360-degree thing with the tower in the middle of it, we've got a gorge going up there, we've got a waterfall falling into the gorge, and we've got it disappearing into the cliff face, which we can't see, and then we've got continuing cliff face going up. So rock is, what, about 180 degrees of this?
Let me draw.
Draw me a diagram, and we can edit out all the questions so that we can just cut to, here is the diagram I prepared. Possibly it's just me. Maybe everyone else had a very clear idea in their head of the layout.
Well, I feel that Sir James is just going to say, right, we either got to go down and fight and die, or we go through the tunnel and have a go. But Shad, I wanted to do whether my character could do.
Oh, we can climb the cliff, sir.
Could my character do a perception roll? See if I notice that our guest stumbled over his description of describing himself as the Count.
You can roll a perception.
The trouble is, my character is not very perceptive.
Okay, sorry. I had imagined that was an out of character stumble. So that was an in character stumble, was it?
He was in act.
So.
He said that in character.
Okay, so I did hear that. All right.
I don't understand human, so you'll have to roll.
Yeah. Well, William almost.
I can do it. How many dice do you get for perception, Sir James? Is it 2?
I think I'm 2. Yeah. I'm mine. Yeah, I'm only 2. Yeah.
2. What, you got 2? Look at that, double 5.
Okay, so I did notice.
It's still rubbish, though.
Oh, what's going on there? Matt is being attacked by the Fey.
The Doctor Who.
I haven't got a clue what's going on.
It's the Fey.
Got a tower. Yeah.
All right, so
our DM is frantically drawing something.
Okay. Okay.
Damn, that's a fine drawing.
Okay, so cliff, tower, outcrop, stairs leading up to it. Actually, I made a mistake. There's not a waterfall. Because otherwise the riverboats wouldn't be able to pass. And so
imagine the waterfall now disappearing.
yeah, and so the river actually goes through flat.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. So if we can get down to the water, that we could, because the water flows in the direction we want to go, doesn't it?
It does. But you would need to get into the water to get through this spot this way, because the cliff comes down and literally kind of goes right down into it on either side. And so the water's gouged out that gap in the cliff.
What's the distance? I mean, if you jumped down there, would it be sort of certain death type distance?
Well, it's obviously deep, okay? And so you would need to climb down these stairs, get in the water, and then try and swim. Luckily, the water is calm. You could swim. It's not like you're raging against you're trying to fight against a raging current. You don't know what's in the water. You don't know whether creatures could be still down around there. And then you need to pass. And so the distance to actually pass this section here, you'd be looking around 50 meters. And so the scales are a bit wrong, but anyway.
Right. So how wide is the gorge?
I'd actually say about anything, probably 50 meters as well. It's a wide river.
Ooh, okay. So that would be a hell of a throw of a rope. And how climbable do the cliffs look?
That does not
difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'd like to say one thing for the audience. I will be yawning a lot. It's not because I'm not having fun. I'm having a lot of fun. I've had trouble sleeping. Sorry, a small parenthesis. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Do we? I mean, William, if there are any siege weapons on the top of this tower, we could attach a long rope and then try and shoot a ballista bolt or something across and have it impact on a tree, and then you could shimmy across.
A thin line of cotton to a bit of stout thread to a bit of cord to a bit of rope. So, but yes, that could work.
I knew you'd have I knew you'd have something like that, but I've seen it in sieges, flinging, albeit dead people across walls. But I mean, live people potentially would, if they landed well. Maybe.
Do we have any volunteers?
I look across to the men who may have heard that, and sort of suggest, okay, if I go upstairs, that fine by you? Sort of look.
Alithea, could you roll a Scholar of the Fey check? Because there's something your character might know, but this one is obscure, so there's a chance he might not. So I will roll for you. It's
thank you. Yeah.
Nobody seems keen to go through the magic tunnel, do they?
It should be 6 dice, I believe, because I got 2 in Scholar of the Fey plus 1 intelligence.
Just by way of helping the audience imagine, I know I haven't spoken for a while, so I'm just pacing up and down. I'm very, very conflicted about what to do next. And I'm torn between blindly following Sir James on some foolhardy glory-seeking mission and any possible wealth that might come my way as a result of that, and just basically legging it.
Sir James is pondering if something with siege weapons could be done to escape from the tower. He's not sure, but he's pretty sure, you know.
So, Alithea, I rolled a whopping 5 for your check.
Whoa.
And so you actually know a thing or two about rifts between the realm and the Fae. And one, they shouldn't be open for so long or so consistent. They should, open briefly and maybe at most a couple of days and then just disappear. But you also know that touching the edge of the rift with iron has a chance of dissipating it instantly if you can touch the edge with iron. And you've experienced this. You've been through one of these rifts before. And so perhaps you've actually tried, but only you have that knowledge at the moment. But then I'm also going to roll for Sir James to see if he picked up on Finchard's slip then, because you guys certainly did.
I rolled. He got a 2.
Oh, 2? Okay. Let me see. Uncommon task. So you heard it, but you're not sure if it was a slip of the tongue or he was actually referring to something real. He was like, sometimes I accidentally say that, you slip. So You heard it, Sir James, but you're not sure if he was actually divulging
Well,
anything real.
I'm gaining confidence of William. I've finally, after many years of working together, I've realised he's actually reasonably smart. So I'm going to go over to him and say, William, keep an eye on our Finwick or Fatwick or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he is who he thinks he is, or rather, maybe he's not who. Well, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I see, sir. Yes, he does seem to wear his clothes rather strangely. I will have another look.
He's like a dog out of water. No, a fish out of water.
So I'm just recalling back to the previous game, and I asked about Fintred's armaments, and I seem to remember that they're of his dagger or sword, I can't remember which it was, is of particularly fine quality, which would not go unnoticed by me.
This is true. Now, did your character hear it? Because Talon was in that same conversation.
Well, I mean, I did. Whether you want to say Talon did, then...
Well, this one I would let, but you're more perceptive than Sir James, and so because, your character is observant, I would let you choose how he reacts by,
for now, I mean, assuming that I've noticed it, I wasn't intending to react at all. I've just parceled away that piece of information, and it's concerning me even more, frankly.
I have a question for Shad.
Yes.
Do I know what happens if a human enters the Fae?
Do not.
Well, that could be a very interesting experiment.
You can always try and persuade Sir James to go in there. Probably would.
Can we use the trebuchet as well? Can we shoot a human into the Fae with a trebuchet? For science.
To work in a low tunnel, sir.
Oh, it could be a small trebuchet.
That'd be a very small servant, sir, much smaller than me. Anyway, the last thing I did in character was would it be all right to go up these stairs, look to the guards, if that's all right with them?
Yeah, the guards are like, what? Absolutely.
Okay, well, I go up to the top and find out and see if there's anything handy on the top, and I also try to judge the distance between the top of the tower and the cliff.
So following him, I say, William, what are you doing?
Well, get out of here, sir. I think possibly we should start looking at alternative escape routes, unless you fancy going through
I'm fully in favour of that, William. Good thinking. What have you got in mind?
Well, I was thinking possibly there might be something, a tree, a bolt, something we can latch a rope to get us up to the top of the cliff.
Okay, I'm willing to help. We need to get out of here. The longer we stay here, the worse.
I think we should look out for what happens to people's voices. Because have you noticed that every single member of the crew on that boat that goes up and down this river, and every single guard in this tower, they all have incredibly gruff voices. and I don't know, maybe it might be some exposure to the field, so we should watch out for that, sir.
Could just be something in the water.
Going gruff.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think we need to concentrate on escaping from this place. Frankly, between you and me, William, while Sir James is not within earshot, I don't give a damn about our obligations and promises to this Fintred. Did you notice his mistake or his hesitancy in describing himself?
Well, he does seem to be very confused as to exactly which member of his household he is.
He referred to himself as the Count, but I mean, I've noted that he has got particularly fine quality weapons and clothing. What do you think he meant by that?
I'm not sure that's his normal clothing either.
If he is the Count, and I have not met the Count, I don't know what the Count looks like. If he is the Count, then I think we're in even more dire trouble than we previously thought. Because why would the Count himself be here?
An excellent question.
So James is piling up to the top to join them, and has an idea with a long rope. And if one person swings on one end of the rope repeatedly, I think if somebody holds on to this rope and one person holds one end and the other person jumps off, it would swing across dramatically to the other side of the cliff and then hold on. William, are you willing to volunteer for some escapades with a book?
I shall now, assuming that I'm able to get to the top of the tower, see what is there, and have a look at the distances involved. Chad.
So, as you walk up, on the ladder to get out to the top of the tower, the tower is because the cliff face kind of goes down like that into the gorge, and the tower is further up. The distance between the two edges on the tower is much greater than down in the river, and so you're looking at around maybe at least 70 meters distance to the other side, other cliff. If you're looking across.
What about the cliff on this side of the river?
On this side, so from the tower because the tower is backing onto a cliff, it's only like 2 meters from the edge of the tower to this cliff face, but it is steep and it is craggy.
So going over to that, then I could almost bridge it with my body. I could almost lean out and touch the cliff. Yes. Okay, so getting onto the cliff that's the easy bit. Okay, looking up, is there anything that's within bow shot that I could, I don't know, I mean, traditional, of course, is a big, hefty tree growing out sideways from the cliff.
Unfortunately, no. This is a fairly just rocky, craggy, there's a bit of shrubs here and there, but there's not much for it to grow on. This is a very unaccommodating cliff face, unfortunately. I did roll a destiny check on that.
Where is Alithea during this?
I suppose I'm still examining the entrance of the door and the...
Okay.
So you actually...
You're downstairs.
There's a door into the tunnel and you haven't seen the rift yet, or, passageway, because it's somewhat down the tunnel where it suddenly opens into a different, strange world. So
is that where you're looking, Alithea? Are you going to investigate that, or...?
Yeah, I was investigating, the entrance of this tunnel, because I wanted to see where it begins. Does it actually begin at the door?
No, not at the door. You need to walk down the tunnel, about 6 meters, and then you see an opening into what looks to be a forest.
Okay. So I can open the door. I try and open the door. I see if someone stops.
You open the door as one of the soldiers looks at you, is like, "Be careful." Looking at you. But as you open it down, it goes down about 6 meters, and then it just seems to open. It's like looking down towards the end of a tunnel, and to you, it just looks like a forest.
Apologies if this has been covered, but did they imply that anything has come out of this portal?
They have not.
Okay. But presumably if it had done, they would have told us, because it would have come out straight into the tower. Right.
Exactly.
Or locked it, I suppose. Yeah.
I know my character's not in a position to see this, but it may later turn out to be relevant. In order to open the door, did Alithea have to put his hand on an iron latch or door?
I have gloves. I have gloves. I have gloves.
He has gloves.
I always said I have gloves.
All right.
So James is not giving up on the rope situation. And is William? You didn't happen to pack that monkey of my aunt's? Did you? The one that is trained to climb cliffs and carry a piece of string?
Oh, what? Gerald the cliff climbing monkey? Of course.
Yes.
No, sir. I had no reason. You see, at the time, we did leave in something of a hurry. So I'm terribly sorry.
Last. Oh well.
That Gerald's nothing but trouble anyway.
I think, William, I don't think there's anything of use on this roof. I think we should go in and we should just go through the tunnel.
Well, there's a very good view. Possibly we should at least examine that, sir.
Sorry, what was that, William? I missed it.
There's a very good view, presumably. Must have quite a view over the landscape. We can see where we've come from, perhaps the scale involved, where the horses and ponies and mules might have gone to.
When looking down, you see the river, and the river bank has a bit of a bare area, especially the pathway that you followed to get here, where there was a bit of a gap between the edge of the river and then the forest. But then you see dense canopy over rolling hills, and you can look pretty far down this forest, and you see, it stretching on towards the horizon, and then very far beyond, you kind of see the valley and more cultivated fields from which you came.
Right.
Does my character here, as James said, he wants to go through the tunnel?
I'm on the roof.
It's on the roof.
Three
It'll
floors
be
up
difficult.
Okay.
and outdoors. So how far is the top of the cliff? If I wanted to shoot an arrow with a message saying kindly lower a rope onto the top.
So the top is probably another 20 meters up.
Oh, that's easily within bow shot.
Yes,
Easy
it's
bow shot. Yeah.
Easy bow shot.
Thing is, if there is someone on the other side to see the message.
Hang on, it's 20 meters up. How tall is the tower?
The tower itself, okay, is it's like a 5-story, and then a 4. So you're looking at around 16 or so meters, and then it's on its own kind of outcrop that it's sitting on, and then you have those pretty long stairs going down.
Okay, so we've got presumably things on the top, merlins perhaps, to anchor a rope really solidly to.
Mm-hmm.
So I look up the cliff looking for what a modern climber would call protection. That is, things where you could attach a rope so that if you fell, you'd only fall as far as that if you were on a rope. There's
enough kind of crags, uneven surfaces on this cliff face that you could fix certain, anchors to. There's plenty of those.
Oh, right. So I could possibly, with some help from my friends. I've probably never done this before, but I'm a bright chap, so I could probably, with some help and a pole and a hammer and some stones and whatever, rig up the first piece of protection at roughly the height of the top of the tower. And it's above a gap, so if somebody fell, they'd only fall into a gap on the end of a rope as far as that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to fall into that gap.
I'd prefer to fall into a gap than onto something really solid and spiky, thanks.
Well, yeah.
Presumably we have quite a lot of rope, don't we? There's plenty of rope in the tower, and
unfortunately most of it was on the mule, sir, but I do have some.
I did have a lot of rope, but it's all gone now.
I did have a lot of things.
But they must have some in the tower. William, I want to understand what your aim is. Where do you mean for us to escape to?
Well, if we could get to the top of the cliff, we could just walk that way over this mountain and then down.
But surely the forest just continues on the top of the cliff. Isn't there just forest everywhere?
You haven't seen the other side, but it's a good bet.
The whole area is forested, and the only bit that's not forested is the river and the riverbank. So our only way out without going through forest is up the river or through the portal.
Well,
I'm not a fan of that personally, but...
Can I see any evidence of there being forest on top of this cliff? Are there overhanging branches at the very top?
No, it looks barren up at the top. And you don't, you could assume that because the river runs through on the base, that obviously the cliff must, come down on the other side. You don't know how steep it is. It could be a sheer face or it could be gradual, but you haven't seen the other side, so you can't yet say.
The thing is, William, I understand that there might not be thick forest up at the top of these cliffs, but the fact is these creatures, for whatever reason, have clearly migrating through or invaded this area, and for all we know, they're up there as well as down in the woods.
Right. Well, there's been no report late of their dropping anything from the cliffs onto this tower, which would be...
Maybe they have no interest in the tower. Maybe, I don't know. I just feel that I think that we need to stick to the river.
Or we could go through the tunnel and have an adventure.
But that would be...
William.
If you excuse me, Sir James, that sounds like madness.
William, could you roll a perception for me?
In the meantime, I'm getting up.
Fighting madness. It's about time we had a proper fight.
3.
But surely, Sir James, if you want more fighting, there's plenty of ogres.
Well, something a bit smaller.
William, you hear something from the top of the cliff. It's not too far away. It's 20 meters. And it sounded like a rock hitting another rock. Like a...
Okay. Is there any... No, what the hell? I'll just get close to one of the walls, ready to duck. And...
Did any of the rest of us hear this noise?
Roll a perception if you're on the top of the tower.
How many am I rolling? 5?
You roll for me.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
3.
You heard it as well, Talon, but so James, you don't hear a thing. You're kind of just looking about, trying to figure out, thinking of adventure and things.
So it sounded like rocks hitting other rocks.
Yes, but the odd thing is, it came from the top of the cliff, and so presumably, what could have fallen to hit rock if it was already on the top?
William, surely you heard that noise. That's not natural. Think about this, man. We've got
noise. What noise?
We've got old ogres or trolls or giants or whatever these crazy monsters are down here in the forest. We've got heaven knows what up on the top of the cliff there, making crunching rock noises. I don't know what it is. We need to find some other route out of here.
Shad, in the meantime, I open the door and I walk a little bit towards the Fey.
So as you walk down the passageway, this is most definitely a rift into the Fey. You recognize just the feel, the atmosphere of the world beyond. And it opens what looks to be onto just grassy ground. And you know you're fairly high up on a cliff face, but this opens up to grassy ground into a very familiar looking forest.
Okay, so I try... So my character, I get as close as I can without going through, because I don't know if I can come back. So I get as close as possible. And then my character just fills up with air and says something in the lines of, Melui, Melui, Salaraf, Melui, like in Elven, and see if something replies.
He's making it up.
Did somebody shout something?
You do hear a reply. But it's an odd one. It sounds like the rustling of leaves in the trees, except it's structured in such a way in which it has very specific repetition as a language. And you know that language. You don't speak it, but you know that is a voice of a dryad.
How dangerous are dryads?
It depends. They can be helpful, beneficial, or vindictive and spiteful, and so if they feel you've threatened their tree, they can be very nasty. But in other times, they can be very, very beneficial and helpful. It's a bit you're not sure. They generally get along well with elves, and they respond quite favorably most of the time because elves treat trees quite well. But just trying to get this creature to approach you can be difficult as well, and you're not sure if it'll be beneficial or not. And also remember, you do know of a potential way to close a rift.
Yeah. Remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I return, and that was from Warhammer Total War, by the way. The mages scream Melui. I don't know what it means.
Neither do I. You've probably cursed someone's mother. Who knows?
Right, up top of the top, do I think Sir James is in any danger? Do I need to grab the idiot?
So, James, what were you doing before? You were just saying you're looking for siege engines.
Whilst there are some rocks clashing around from some cliffs above us.
I said to Talon, what do you mean, what noise? I hadn't heard anything. What are you talking about? And then
there's some sound of rocks up there, Sir James. I don't know what's causing it. I haven't got a clue, but it's certainly not the sort of natural noise you'd expect to hear from the top of an uninhabited cliff face.
Right. Do you think we should retreat from this roof and seek the protection of the interior of the tower?
I mean, I think we're probably safe enough in this tower. There must be some. If these creatures are wandering around here, but they haven't attacked the tower, maybe they're afraid of the tower.
Could you all roll perception? And by the way, I'm basing all this on Destiny rolls, so don't blame me, okay? But roll a perception.
4.
4?
Roll for the elf, please.
You'll have to roll for me.
Yes, I shall. You got a 3, Sir James, and 2. So while Talon is trying to talk, and this was this was for the people on the tower top. So sorry, Alithea, you're unable to notice this. But Tyler, you were talking to Sir James, and you're a bit unaware. But Sir James and William, you've been a little bit on edge. Like when Tyler mentioned to you, James, that there was a sound up. So you've been kind of looking up at the cliff face, and as you've been looking up, you see a boulder of about yay big suddenly just appear from atop the cliff, not roll off, as like it was already seemingly in the air, and it is just sailed off, so like from over the cliff, and is now falling directly towards the tower.
Okay, I try to judge if there's anyone in its path, and I then try to change that situation.
It's too hard to tell, but it's aimed for the tower, so it could potentially hit any one of you. You would only know exactly where it's going to hit as it approaches, and you'd need to roll a defense kind of.
Okay, clearly I shout, heads up! What is our defense skill? Is it acrobatics or what is it?
So
I'm not going to try to parry it.
Yeah,
reflexes.
On it. So first, I'll roll Destiny to see if the boulder is even going to be in your heading towards you. So, okay. It's hard to tell, but you're all ready to dodge. And as the boulder approaches, it actually doesn't land on the rampart atop the tower, but hits one of the merlons on the side with a big loud crack, cracking the merlon itself, and then the boulder falling further down. And you were all ready, like those who saw it. So Sir James and William, you're all ready to try and dodge as you watched this boulder just suddenly fall from the cliff top.
I said there was no sign of there being boulders dropped on the top of the tower. I have changed my mind, I say, as I make my way very rapidly to the staircase leading off this tower.
What was that? What was that?
To James, possible to James.
Everybody off the tower.
I grab him and yank him towards the stairs.
The trebuchets up there or something. Everybody else off the tower top. They'll be sending more. We've got to get out of here. You go, Talon. William, go. I'll go last, and I'll shut the door behind us.
As I'm scurrying down the stairs, I start shouting to the soldiers. There's 4 of them, aren't there?
Yes.
And there's Fintred. So I start calling to them, telling them that the castle's, the tower is under attack.
The tower's under attack? What in God's name did you do up there? Who's attacking us? What's going on? I heard a loud noise.
Rocks, Fintred. Something's shooting rocks at us.
Rocks? What size?
I think it was just rolled off the top, actually. Why is this tower not anchored to the cliff? Why is it freestanding right next to a cliff?
I don't know. I didn't build the bloody thing. It's a good question, but
How's Eric? How are you getting on? You were down here. You've missed all the action up on the top there. What's going on?
Eric,
shall we go through that tunnel?
Yeah, Eric is just standing there's a doorway leading to a tunnel and is standing within.
I'm just going to stride towards the tunnel and have a look in. I'm not quite sure what's
Careful, Sir James.
Yeah. Why? It's just a door.
I think it's more than that. It's a door going to a place that it shouldn't do.
Okay, I'm now looking at the door. I'm now
like
in
that.
the room.
Doesn't mean you can't go in.
Examining that door. How much iron is on that door?
So it's got iron, brackets holding the wood together, and
door frame, maybe,
and so the door frame itself is stone, and there's only small things holding together. It's a solid one, and it's got kind of the metal, I forget what they're called, the fixtures where you can put like a big bar of wood to bar the door from opening or closing from this side. And it's got no real discernible handle apart from the bar, and the bar was on, and so Alithea had to lift the bar off to open it. But yeah, he didn't have to tussle with too much iron, and he has gloves, so it was.
So you said the brackets holding the timbers together. So the timbers presumably are vertical. Do the brackets go all the way across then?
Across enough to hold the wood together. So one side is obviously they're connected to the hinges of the door on the actual side that's levered, but they don't travel. They don't reach the edge of the other side, but enough to hold the planks together in the door shape.
Fintred, we've got rocks flying at us from above. We've got monsters outside. We've got a door going to somewhere it shouldn't do. What do you propose we do?
I don't know. It seems like through that place is the only place to safety if we're under attack.
I'm going to. Sir James is drawing his sword, and he's sort of going to sort of tentatively sort of tap the tunnel and make his way down there, saying, "Come on, chaps, let's go to an adventure, and our destiny is through here." And
Sir James, this is madness.
Well, what should we do then? He pauses.
I'd rather fight the known than the unknown.
With the greatest of respect, those giants were really quite ferocious.
But you were doing such a good job, Sir James.
Well, yeah, I could have another go, I suppose.
I really think you should.
I did roll quite badly. Oh no, I didn't do too well that time. Maybe a bit more experience of fighting.
One thing,
giants.
I don't want to seem pushy about this, but could I have my spear back at some point?
Has William cleaned it yet? Or is it still covered in gore?
And a bit of brown marks.
So, Shad,
the one that actually did the job, we left in situ, didn't we? As we ran, and that slowed it down, and it angrily it spent its first round angrily pulling it out.
That was my best spear.
Very sorry. I'll have you a couple, mate.
Oh, don't worry, William. I'll take it out of your wages.
Shad.
Yes, Alithea.
So do I hear this conversation between Tallinn and Sir James?
Yes. You don't. It's very audible. Just into the room. As you're standing on the edge of this rift. What's interesting? It seems some of the edge of this portal seems to be sunken into the stone on the side, but on the other side, you actually can discern the edge of the rift. And what it is, it's like clear view into the Fey, but on the edge, there is this shimmer then on the edge on the outside that's blurry and somewhat brighter. It glows a little bit on the edge and then fades off. And you can see that shimmer, that line on one side, just briefly before the actual wall of the tunnel that you're in.
Fascinating.
And now,
so,
Eric, we need your advice here. If we go in there, we're going to have some adventures and fighting and things. Should we just pile in? That's what my tutor would say. If in doubt, charge in and see what you can do.
I need to ask one thing to the DM before I can answer that. So you said the Dryads like elves. What do Dryads think of humans?
Oh, it depends. It very much depends. They have very little contact with humans. Oftentimes they can try and seduce humans into the Fae. Sometimes they like companionship and they like to play and have fun. But other times they could be trying to lure them in to get revenge on their crimes against nature itself. And they could be trying to put people into an eternal sleep.
Okay. Sir James, I don't think you should go in. But I think if you at least tried to get closer, that would be very epic for tales to come. The great knight that is not afraid of going through the door, at least. So
Good
I think
idea. Good idea. I'll step forward and sort of peer in. So this is quite curious. It's quite light in here, considering it's inside a cliff.
I watch him. What happens to him? How does he feel?
So has he actually walked through the portal?
No.
Just through the door. No. He's not
just through the door. Okay, so you see down the tunnel, and then you see it opening into this. It looks very odd. Like if you ever seen something that it's double, like you're out of focus, but when you look again, it's in focus. It's almost like you're a bit drunk when looking into this strange place, and it's very hard to. You almost feel a little off balance, as if the world is turning, but then when you look again, it's perfectly straight. And then you look at it.
So James isn't bothered by that at all. He's used to that kind of thing. He's been hit in the head many times, so this is perfectly. He doesn't think there's anything unusual going on here. He's going to shout, "Hello in the forest! Is anybody in there? We could do with some help or something."
How do the Dryads react to a human voice? I'm taking notes.
It landed on an edge, and so I need to roll again because it was either an 18 or a 4, but it's right on the edge. It hasn't fallen.
Definitely an 18.
I got to roll again.
Obviously. This is James we're talking about.
Okay, I rolled again, and it legitimately landed on an 18 this time.
I think.
You hear a voice kind of echo through the trees saying, "Something strange has happened in the forest. Something strange. Would you help? Noble knight, would you help?"
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, no. No.
Right, chaps. Anybody got some food? I'm gonna go pile in there.
That sounded like
help.
a fair damsel requesting help, Sir James. This could be
Absolutely right. Yes.
This could
William?
be a lady fair.
William, bring my axe.
We can't hear any of this. Can we?
Right,
Roll
I think
perception.
we should, prepare ourselves thoroughly for this journey first.
Good
don't
point.
you think so, as a tally?
We mustn't waste time. Can you prepare my
Well, you'll need your forest hat.
So if you get 3, you heard that as well. That was a strange feminine voice. It was very soft because you're further into the room. But Talon, you heard that as well. It was like,
Where did that come from, Sir James?
Oh, there's a lady in distress. I must go in there. William, prepare my equipment.
Be careful, Sir James. What does she look like?
Well, Danger is not my middle name, but it should have been. So I'm. Well, she had a fair voice, and she said she was in danger. So I'm sworn. I'm sworn to errantry.
Men, get your weapons ready. This feels like a trap.
Okay, I suppose, right, I could prepare, and what you'll need this cloak, sir, and as I'm putting on the various things, I'll see if I can, one of the preparations will be a stout bit of rope tied round his waist so that we can pull him back.
Right, chaps, are we ready? I feel the...
I think pulling him back from the other side of the door is probably good, because then shutting the door is an option. Not that I would do that, you understand, unless things was desperate. But that means a good right angle bit of wall to get a really good purchase on with my legs, so I can pull really hard.
I go talk to Talon, and I speak with a lower voice so that Sir James cannot hear me, but Talon can.
sorry, yes.
So, Talon, I believe we need to close this portal. It would be dangerous for Sir James to traverse it.
We'll call him back. Sir James, come back.
Oh, okay. What is it, Talon? Turns around and...
Alithea and I are strongly of the opinion that this is a trap. You must come back.
But traps, I poo-poo traps. There's a woman in danger there. It sounded like a woman in danger.
I plead with you, Sir James. Whatever we do, let's do it together.
Right, everybody. So form a line behind me, and we shall go in there briskly, rescue the fair maiden, win fame and honor, and return forthwith.
Talon, I think I know how to close the portal. Will you
Tell
help
me everything, Alithea.
Please.
How do you know? How do you know these things?
May I answer that at a later time?
Okay. Speak freely.
Gather all the iron that you have, whether it be...
I don't have as much as I formerly had, but I still have some. Okay.
Take all the iron and let's try to tap the... do I have to do it around the... Sorry, Game Master. Do I have to do it around the actual shimmer?
No, all you need to do is touch iron to the edge of the portal. Like just anything. It could be a nail, could be a sword. Just touch it to the edge of the portal, and that has a chance of closing it instantly.
Okay, so we need to touch the part.
Okay, well we can try with my buckler.
Yes, William, you did hear that. You were close enough as they were talking. They weren't trying to kind of hide.
Okay.
So I've got my buckler off my belt on my fist, and I'm sort of gingerly reaching towards the edge of the portal. But I'm also quite wary of the fact that Sir James is in front of us.
Yes.
And I don't want to run any risk of closing the portal with him the other side of it. I've spent months working on this relationship.
James is turning round and going, I need my axe, William. Where did you put it? Is it in the room?
Right.
I need my axe.
Yes, I shall just get it simple for a sec. And what was that? And I gestured to Talon to come closer so I can say something to him.
What is it, William?
Well, he's got Sir James is covered in iron, and if we could get him to touch the edge of the thing, that would make him the hero of the day, and he'd be ever so pleased.
That's
Okay,
actually-
do whatever you think's best, William. We just need to draw close to this thing. This is unnatural.
So if we were to say, I mean, there's quite a lot of dirt and so forth. So he could scrape a little. You could say that look for a sign. Look for a sign next to the entrance where it's labelled and scrape the date.
I can just trip him. I can bump into him. He won't notice.
I think he might. Well,
I can pretend that I tripped.
is he wearing sabatons or
Gauntlets. He's got gauntlets. Yeah, he's got.
what about your feet?
Yep, sabatons. Yeah, plate sabatons. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all kind of bustling in now behind Sir James, and I sort of accidentally bump him into the side.
So Sir James reaches out and touches the side of the portal with his both gauntlets, sort of not quite.
Well, he'd have to steady himself.
Yeah, steady himself on the side of the portal.
Okay. This roll is going to be significant.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
I'm not. So let's find out what happens.
Goodbye, Sir James. It was nice knowing you.
Electrocuted.
Density roll.
Here we go. Ready?
Ready, steady, go.
I got a 5.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's good, isn't it? Says Sir James.
Well, hang on, let me describe what happens. As you reach out and touch the edge of the portal, you feel a violent vibration on whatever you're resting on, and it's shaking your whole frame. And suddenly,
I pull the rope.
You pull the rope. You hear there's this kind of vibrating sound that resonates with a chiming thing, and then a burst of light just seems to shine from the edge, and then the sound crescendos and snaps, and the portal is not like the thing you're resting on seems to have given way, and you fell forward, and now your hand is resting on the edge of the tunnel. But because the portal was here and your hand was resting on it, as it hits, now it's kind of you're resting on the edge of the portal, and the portal is still there. But the crescendo and then stopped, and the portal's there as well, and you're not exactly sure what happened.
This is a bit strange. So I take my axe. William, pass my axe. This is a very hefty.
I am heaving.
What?
You're heaving.
You get yanked back. Then you get knocked into Talon, who gets knocked into Alithea, and you all just tumble backwards, falling down. And Finch is like, "What are the blows that just happened? This is very odd." And then the soldiers are like, "I don't know. It doesn't sound good." And one of the other soldiers runs to the other door. "I'm getting out of here. The whole thing was shaken." And he opens, and as he opens the door, you hear him go, "Ah!"
Oh, what happened?
He stubbed his foot or trod on some Lego or something. Yeah.
Lego.
Well, am I in a position to see this guy? Because I'm in the room, not in the tunnel.
Yes. So you look back, William, and the man has opened the door, walked out, and he is just... He had screamed, and he seems to be frozen. You're seeing the back of him, and his arms are kind of out. And what's very odd, he looks to be standing on grassy ground with a strange-looking forest just before him, stretching out.
So he's taken one step out of the door, has he?
Out of the door, and he is just looking at this strange forest. And that door is opening to a very different view than what it should have.
I've got anything I can tie this rope to?
Yes, yes.
A clove hitch will do.
Yes,
throw
yes.
A clove hitch round something.
You find...
Okay, throw a clove hitch round. Boom. I have thrown a billion clove hitches over things, tying up horses. I can do it blind, just boom. And I run over, reach out of the door, grab this guy by the collar, and yank him back through into the room.
He doesn't resist, and you pull him back in, and it's just like, what's going on? So it's a different world out there.
I close the door if I can do that.
You close. Roll a perception as you do.
Okay. Oh dear, 2. I've been distracted.
Yes, you just close the door completely.
I didn't want to look out there anyway. It could be dangerous to look.
Gentlemen, something's very strange with this tunnel, and we might have to rethink.
You all suddenly, as you're trying to get it, you feel like the ground is shifting underneath you, but when you look again, it's not. It's like solid, and it's hard to. Your balance seems to be getting thrown off, and you hear this odd background noise that is very strange. It's like this chiming ting, and when you try and listen to it, it's gone. And then the rustling of branches, the soft melodious giggle. And Alithea, you recognize this completely. For some reason, you're back home. You're in the Fey. You've recognized this completely.
With the humans.
Yeah, you're in the tower. You're in the tunnel area, but this sensation you recognize completely.
We and the tower have been teleported, essentially.
You don't know yet, but you're getting this sensation and feeling that you're feeling very odd and very sick.
So what do we feel? Nauseous or dizzy?
Just nausea, like that. It's not like full on sickness, but it's like slight nauseous and uneasiness from being off balance, and you almost feel like you're a bit tipsy, a bit drunk.
And is Alithea behaving normally? He's not affected.
You'll need to roll perception for that. You're kind of just more. So far, you've just been thinking like this is odd.
3.
3. So, Alithea, what has your actions been specifically? Because I'm assuming you're not being like, but are you acting completely normal or?
Yeah, I would say that I'm mostly focusing on them because this is like the moment of my life. I mean, I've got humans in the Fey. It's incredible. So I would imagine I wouldn't be like, it would be metagaming of me to say that I am acting normal. For me, it is normal to be normal in the Fey. So unless I pay attention, and I'm not because I'm paying attention on that, so I'm not pretending to have nausea or anything.
So Alithea does not only not look sick, he looks intrigued and is watching you all very closely, like
intrigued.
So James is going to start shouting, "What the blazes is going on, everybody? I fell backwards. Who's tied this wretched rope around me? William, I suspect you. But I don't know. And what's going on? Eric, Alice, tell us what's going on, please. I need to know. I need to know which direction to point.
I'm feeling awfully sick. It's not like I don't know what's going on. What is that noise? What is that?
I've got a bucket.
Finch goes to the bucket and he's trying. He's like, and he misses, and he just hurls up. It's everything. I don't like this. I felt this before. It's like when we walked through that pool. What's going on? What did you see out there? Hambert, what did you see? Hambert looks back and says, and Hambert was the one that, William had pulled back inside. He's like, it's a completely different world out there. When I was looking around, the tower is standing on a grassy field, black sky, forest. It's like we're in another world.
Does the portal look any different within the tower?
When you look back, you can see no sign of a portal. It's like the tower. So the tunnel goes down and seems to just naturally end, like it was cut off, and is simply opening up, like you're looking down a mine, like exit, just an opening up naturally to grass.
So the
but you don't see that. You don't see the shimmer anymore.
Okay, so the rift is shut.
Well, just out of character, explain exactly what happened. So James touched it with that much iron, and it's interesting. Intent actually plays an effect on whether a rift can close or shut. And so James, because he sent him to touch it and not Talon's, his intent was to go through into the Fey and save this woman, which also had an effect on what happened, and that caused the portal to not only open up but envelop the local surrounding area, taking that entire area into the Fey, tower and all.
Oops.
Huh.
So we stole a tower.
You've moved an entire tower.
It looks like it's good cavalry country outside. I think I might jump on my steed and ride out to battle.
What steed?
Well, the horses in the corner. Yeah.
The one that William ended up managing to save.
It's in the tower, is it? Okay, I thought it was outside.
We had this conversation last week about how you can get a horse through a door.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
You can. Yeah.
So
right. There might be a very different view from the top of the tower now, sir.
If the horse is there, is the horse behaving strangely?
the horse is whinnying and just feeling uneasy, but it doesn't seem as unsettled as all of you. Roll it's a strength check essentially. It's basically going to help determine how well you're adapting to this different environment. And so it'll be 3 plus whatever strength bonus you have, essentially, and just roll that. If you have a skill that could logically apply, you can apply it. But
You roll for me.
yeah,
Does a lack of perception
Have you seen
have a
the
positive
things I've
effect
eaten most
here?
of my life?
sorry, what was that?
Have you seen the things I've eaten most of my life?
And I was going to say lack of perception may have a positive effect here because I'm completely oblivious.
That's actually a good point. I'm going to give you an additional win on that front, Sir James. You seem to be handling. You feel the uneasiness, you feel the strangeness, but like you said, you've been drunk before, and it's like you're taking it in stride. It's like, this is kind of odd, but look, nice horse country out there. You're ready to explore. What did you get, William?
1.
1. You feel like the ground is shifting underneath you, and you're starting to feel even more queasy. And it's the type of motion sickness you would get on a boat or something like that. And it's a very odd feeling, disorienting almost. Your head's starting to even feel a bit fuzzy.
Am I hearing this damsel's voice anymore? Because obviously the damsel. I was hearing this damsel, then all of this has happened, and it's only taken a few seconds.
No voice from the damsel yet. Talon, did you manage to roll a strength check?
I only got a 1.
Okay, you're feeling uneasy as well. It's like, as I described to William, it's like you're standing on a boat that's been rocking. You're starting to get motion sickness. It's like, and you start to lose balance, even though when you try and look at the ground, it's solid, but then you start to stumble about and you're starting to feel queasy.
I mean, I'd sit down on the floor at that point.
I look out of a window and see what the horizon's doing.
As you look out the window, you see a forest, and you're looking up kind of into the sky. It's a black sky with no stars, and it's jet black. Like, eerily strange. It's jet black, no stars at all.
Come on, gentlemen, it's night time. I don't know what's happened, but night has fallen. We should have some...
Oddly, even though the sky is black, there's plenty of light around. As light as a regular day.
It's nice and different.
And the horizon? Is the horizon moving? As if I'm on a boat.
No, when you focus on the horizon, it's stable. It's like when you're not focusing on anything, that's when the instability and the strange. But every time you actually focus on something, it's solid and normal. But then, and like that noise, when you try and listen for the noise, it's not there. But when you're not focusing on anything, you hear this strange, chiming, rustling, odd sound.
If we try to gather where the light is emanating from in terms of shadows or things like that, can we tell?
Yep. You have a look. There is no shadows anywhere. You are not casting a shadow.
One thing that I'd like to do, because I see that they're feeling sick, I'd like to sort of sit down with them and try to explain to them how to manage experiencing the Fae. So, of course, I don't know much about the setting to be able to actually role play this, but I would say something in the lines of, don't focus, just try to feel the flow.
Basically, you say embrace it. When you feel the rocking, try and rock with it. You're explaining, try and rock with it, try and go with it, try and sing along with the music that you're hearing. Try and be part of the Fae. You're essential as you're explaining this. So
how do you know this, Alithea? Who are you?
I'm going to say I think this is a possible penny dropping moment.
It very well could be.
Out of character, have known all along. I'm wondering whether this might be the hang on moment.
It very well could be. I'll let you decide that for your character.
Well, I haven't been completely straightforward and honest with all of you at the beginning of this. And it may be time for me, since we've all risked our lives together, and it might be my fault as well. As I said, maybe I'm the one who has caused all of this. And that has happened. And I wish, before I say any further, I'd like to say that I mean no harm to you. And I am your friend.
Oh, stuff it. I'm grabbing his hood and pulling it back.
No. I do it. I pull my hood back and I show them my ears.
And he pulls out, and you see pointed ears under the hood.
And yeah, when I do that, I say, I'm not from your world. I come from the Fae.
This is too much, Alithea. So what are you?
I am what is called an elf, a high elf, but I'm not an evil creature. I mean no harm.
Well, you've been jolly decent so far. I see no reason why we shouldn't keep trusting you, even though you've got slightly strange ears.
What? But he's been lying to us the whole time, and he's now telling us he's some devil pixie? This is too much. I've just thrown up, and I don't have my assistants or helpers. I missed my castle.
Calm down. I'm going to. He sounds like his Finrick sounds like he's having a bit of a thing. So I'm going to just try and calm him down, physically restrain him in case he attacks Eric. Because I think Eric, he seems like a decent chap. He's not done us any harm. He's been on our side.
Yeah,
so
right. I've got my knife out.
Alithea, is this all because of you? Did you do this to us? Did you bring these creatures onto us?
No, I didn't. But it may be possible that the weapons and armor that I have brought have lured some creatures. But I don't think that this is me. That's what I thought when we were in the forest. But I don't believe that I'm the reason why this rift.
One of the soldiers steps forward. What do you mean, your weapons and armor?
They were made in the Fae. They belong to the Fae.
So this man, like, he looks and he kind of stares at it and is like, "Oh, I've seen that silvery metal before. That was like the coating that we put on the face stone up at Silverthorn."
Ha!
The what?
Oh, the festival we had. Sorry, I'm a bit dizzy. The festival.
When was it?
Festival we had a week ago. Well, there's.
How long have you been in this tower?
A bit under a week after the festival, but the festival was to celebrate the wealth. We just hit a large patch of silver in the mines, a count, and it was the most pure stuff I've ever found. Really bright silver. It looks like that stuff. And to celebrate, we decided to coat the face stone in it. You know what a face stone is, don't you?
No. Tell us everything from the beginning.
So, actually, roll perception to see if you do know of a face stone, because these they appear randomly across the realm, and they're these odd kind of pillars of rock that jut out of the ground that people don't know where they came from or what they're doing there. And so, if you roll, you would not have any idea. Actually, Alithea, you might, yeah. Mm-hmm. In fact, you have a higher chance of knowing exactly what it's talking about. So could you roll Scholar of the Fae, and everyone else, this essentially is it's a knowledge check. So it's really an intelligence roll. If you have any applicable skill or background that you think could apply, I'll let you add to it. And so if you know if there's a skill that folklore tale, 4.
Yeah, I didn't add anything on, so I just rolled really well.
You know what they're talking about. A face stone is just like these odd outcroppings of rocks that sometimes you see on the edge of a road. Sometimes they have markings on them, sometimes not. But they're not particularly odd or out of the ordinary. So
why are they called face stones?
You know, old tales. That's just the name. Like, you know.
So when was the festival?
But now that you are seeing that the Fae is real, there might be something more to that old name than you ever gave it credit. I'll roll for you, Sir James, to see if you have any knowledge of it. Oh, wow. I got 4, though.
Oh, so I have some this memory of my childhood.
Yes, there was a stone that was called, a Fae stone or a way rock.
Oh, that stone that I used to play around as a child. Yes, in the castle courtyard. We used to dance around it and sing songs, and occasionally it used to sing back to us, and birds would fly into it and disappear. Oh yeah, it's all come tumbling out of my memory.
Right. In the real English medieval period, there are things called parish boundary stones, which often be found along roads. So they were border markers. Is my character familiar with stones used this way for border marking of territory?
Yes, you are. These stones are usually quite large and round, and so the circumference is usually at least 5 meters. They can be larger. And so these ones are actually quite large. And so this soldier's like, well, all right, you told me to explain everything, so I'll explain everything. The reason why Silverthorn, the castle was named Silverthorn, was after the Fey stone looks like a thorn. It's very round, but it's more intact than any other ones we've ever seen, and it's really pointy and sharp and juts out of the ground. And so, because of the silver and this was we all called it the Thorn, and so the castle was called Silverthorn. And after we found this stockpile of lovely silver that we had extra that we wanted to coat the thorn, well, my lord, he wanted to actually have a real silver thorn in front of his castle. To have a silver thorn in front, and there was a big festival. We had a wonderful celebration, and it was all very good.
So, historically, when did this happen? Like, what was the date of this festival?
It was a week ago.
Yeah, can you give me the date?
I don't know the exact, but he tells you it's like just this day, week past. It coincides with when the silver shipments started to stop all the troubles there. Like everything's like seems to marry into that date. And you know, silver has interesting interactions with creatures from the Fey, certain other things as well. And this sounds like Fey silver as well.
It's Fey silver. That's what it is. That I do tell them. So I believe they might have found a shipment of Fey silver, which means that could have created the portal that could have attracted the creatures.
Oh, by the way, Alithea, did you roll your, if you had known?
No, I was waiting for you to roll it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'll do that.
I think it's
you know that's how you came to the realm. Fey stones exist parallel in the realm and the Fey, and it was through a Fey stone that you came to the realm.
So I tell them.
Yeah, and the way that you did it is that you rested your back against it and you just fell asleep, and when you woke up, you were in the realm. And usually, sleeping against a Fey stone is how you cross over.
Okay, I tell them all of that. I think they should know.
So you're saying we're trapped in this strange devil pixie land, but there's a way to get back home?
You see, that's the reason why I kept my real identity covered. Devil pixie.
Oh, you are a devil. Look at your ears. They're just like horns.
Technically, horns are very different from ears. I mean, many of the creatures I've seen have horns and ears.
Well, they are pointy. I'm just saying.
Where is this?
Anyway, semantics. Let's move on. I think I should mount up and ride out. There's good land out there. We should find what we should go exploring. Come on, gentlemen.
Where is this stone?
Oh, the stone. It was just in front of the castle. Just in front of Silverthorn itself.
Does my character know where Silverthorn Castle is?
Yeah, that's where you were supposedly headed on your original quest. But now you're in the Fey. So
it's so in the mundane world, it's through that gorge.
Through that, in the direction that the door was leading. And Alithea, he knows that Fey stones exist in the Fey and the realm.
And yes, we need to find the.
Is it possible that the placement of these stones corresponds to where they are each other in the realm and here?
Is it?
Yeah, they do, Alithea.
Yes. Okay, so yes, and we do need to find. I believe if we find the Fey stone here, we may be able to go back.
Yeah, and also Alithea, Fey stones being the bridge between the Fey and the realm. Okay, these are obviously, pillars, edifices, are crafted by some long forgotten magic of some long forgotten civilization and people when there was some, more interaction between the Fey and the realm regularly, and you have no idea what coating a Fey stone in Fey silver could do. That could send its how it operates into complete haywire. Like that could mess up, how these, ancient things operate massively. So to you're starting to piece it together as like, all right, there are portals, rifts opening up between the Fey and the realm happening randomly at a much higher rate than ever should be natural. There are creatures dropping in and out of the realm. Like, this could be what's causing all this problem.
We need to ride to this. We need to ride to this stone and find it, gentlemen.
So yeah, exploring seems to be the best strategy, but please do not in any way hurt the trees, because then it will either be dryads or wood elves. I don't know what you're going to upset first, but just don't hurt the trees.
What wood elves? What are you talking about? You're saying there's creatures like you that are made out of wood?
Don't you ever say that a wood elf is like me.
I'm sorry, John.
Ever.
Right, I think let's gather everything up that we need and
Wait. He wants us to go to this stone. How many elves have you ever met in your entire life? I say this to Talion. How many elves have you ever met in your life? What are the chances that the one time we go traveling with someone who in secret was an elf all along, who, when we were attacked by flying imp things in the boat, and when we were attacked by giant beasts with thick skins, said nothing? And now he said, oh yeah, by the way, I was an elf all along, and this is all just coincidence.
Here! William knows what's up! I don't trust... You're trying to lure us into your strange devil land. You're trying to, I don't know, take our dignity when we're asleep or something like that. I'm onto you.
Well, I did. When the pixies attacked, I did tell you that iron was the way to hurt them.
Oh, you did say that. Iron? Hurt pixies, you say?
Right,
yes.
But they were attacking everyone, including you.
Indeed, exactly. Yes. And also
you didn't come clean, did you?
I know I didn't, and I apologize profusely for that, but I was afraid because of the fact that you humans usually are not, you don't really react very well to the Fae, as you do.
Alithea, if we take you at your word and if you're being truthful, what were you doing in the realm?
I am a scholar. I'm a scholar of the Fae, and I came to your realm to study, to learn your language, and to learn your customs, because I'm very fascinated by everything that has to do with humans, because as you can imagine, it's all foreign to me. But I did not mean to attract any problem or any pixie. I had no idea that I could cause any harm.
Can I touch your ears?
For a price, of course. that was a human joke.
By the way, that's like someone asking a woman to touch their breasts for you.
Okay, it's a no. Sorry.
They're very sensitive.
I'm standing right over him with a dagger near his throat. He may have different priorities. Let him touch your ears.
The thing is, though,
I love, like, Alithea, you're hearing that like that's like someone saying, "Let him grope you," basically. It's like you're like,
William, stand down a moment. I don't think he's going anywhere. Let
the armor for? I say, tapping the armor with my iron knife. What do you need this armor for in the Fae if the Fae's so bloody safe?
There was, sorry. Oh, this place is not safe. It depends on the creatures you find, but this is not safe.
oh, well, that's bloody brilliant.
This is too much. Alithea, you must have some... Okay, what do you suggest we do next? We need to get to another one of these stones?
I think we need to look for the stone. I think Sir James should ignore the voice of the damsel who is not a damsel. And then I believe we need to absolutely get you out of the Fae, because this is not your natural environment.
So you say that the stones are laid out with the same relative distance and placement to each other as they are in the realm. So we know that there's a stone in Silverthorn. So we need to go to the place here which corresponds to that same stone in Silverthorn.
Yes.
So does anyone know the way?
Well, the door that we didn't come in by is the way to Silverthorn Castle.
I'm running
So,
up the stairs.
Finric, surely you know the way to Silverthorn.
Well, if it corresponds accurately to the watchtower, then yes, it would be in that direction over there.
So lead the way.
Lead the way.
I've run upstairs.
Yeah, quickly have a look, William. See if you can see the lay of the land. I'll get my horse ready.
I can't hear you. I've run upstairs.
So William,
Okay, I'm having a look at the all-new view.
yeah, as you run upstairs, you are. You get to say how your character reacts, but it is an odd, strange sight. You are like there are no shadows cast in this land that seems to be just filled with just
You can't
regular
judge the
lights.
distance and everything.
Yeah,
I keep scraping my shoulder on the walls on the spiral stairs.
It's very odd, and then the pitch black sky with no stars. And as you look up, you actually see a sun in one direction and a moon in the other, both hanging in the sky in polar opposite directions. The
Never mind
land.
them. I can remember where the tower was, and I can remember the direction of where we were trying to get to relative to the tower before. I look in that direction. Is it now impenetrable cliffs and mighty gorges?
No, you seem to be in this vast valley, forested. But what is strange, amongst the canopy of the trees, periodically you see like the most insane massive trees you've ever seen in your life. These things are like over 1 kilometer in size, with a circumference of over 100 meters, just jutting out of the ground, and they're placed like at distances apart, and then at their bases they're just filled with, you know, flowing hills filled with trees and stuff like that. But these giant trees are separated from one another, but are standing regularly as far as the eye can see in every direction, and these things are unbelievably huge.
Oh, I don't believe it. Oh, you're right. And I look to see where I would expect the town to be, and is there anything there at all?
It's hard to see. The town, yeah, the town was at least a good day's ride or march away from the cliff where you're at. And so presumably, if this Fey stone is located where it should be, it's either buried amongst trees or over a hill or something like that. But the direction that Finchard pointed, you can see the direction. It's through the trees in that way, but also further beyond in that direction, much beyond it, you do see mountains, cliffs, and there's one particular one that's pretty high, and it's in the same direction as where you need to go, but just far beyond. But that can be a direct point of reference you can use to get your bearings straight, so that you know. If you
Right, so I think that even from the ground, I'd be able to see it most of the time.
Yes.
Okay, I'm now going to look very, very hard for any sign of habitation. Is there smoke rising anywhere? Does anything look deliberately made, fashioned? Do any of these trees have little doors in, or is anything being cut down? Just any.
Sorry, what did you roll in your perception?
I rolled a 5.
5. So there seems to be some type of structures in these giant trees. Not all of them, but one distant. There most definitely seems to be some type of habitation. You don't see any smoke anywhere, but those are definitely buildings of some kind in these giant trees. You could swear
Actually, in the trees.
In like these giant trees, in the actual higher up in the branches, there are giant trees. And as you spy that tree even further, you have to look really close, because it's pretty far away. You look at you're straight in your eyes. You can actually see what looks to be a stairwell wrapping around this tree all the way down to the bottom. And it's like someone has, fixed wooden planks into the thing that it wraps around going, and then there are actual buildings in one of these trees.
I mean, you would just ask Alithea, wouldn't you?
Okay, I'm going to look at the damaged Merlin. Is it exactly as before?
Yes.
Okay, and again, sort of lean out, look down all around. Is the tower exactly complete? Is it just the tower?
Oddly enough, it's taken some of the, as you look around, there is a perimeter of craggy stone around the tower in almost like a perfect sphere. And on one end, it reaches this part where there's like rock, so over the edge of the tower, there's this rock coming out of it and then to the end, and that is the same direction in which the tunnel was located. And so it seems to have taken a good chunk of the cliff rock with it that the tunnel is currently traveling through and opening up. So you have like this weird kind of, tunnel mine rock thing that's attached to the bottom end of the tower that presumably went into the actual cliff face in the realm, but was brought with you into the Fae. And then,
looking down at it from the top of the tower, I actually see the sort of the top of a sphere, sort of smooth.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And then the entire tower itself has been brought with you.
Sorry, and the entire...
The whole tower. The whole tower is there, yes.
Sorry, yes. Okay. Well, I walk down the stairs. Again, I'm still a little bit... I'll just put my hands on the wall and just do that all the way down.
Yeah, because you are feeling uneasy and unbalanced. Like, what did you see up there? This strange, hellish place. I'm feeling so sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
It's the whole tower is taken, and it's like a ball. It's like a tower and a ball of the air and rock and ground around it. Is somewhere else. I can't see the town. There are some very big trees. I think someone's living in them.
Alithea, that's
wood elf,
that's a warning. That's a wood elf village.
I knew that would have been wood elf.
And that's not good. Yeah, because even though the tree wasn't in the way of your path, it is in the direction you need to go, which means you're going to need to travel through wood elven territory to get to where you're going.
Okay. I tell them this. I said, that's not good, because that's wood elven territory, and wood elves are very territorial. They're very defensive. It might be dangerous.
Do they like to trade? Do they have weapons?
Oh, yes, they do have weapons. Absolutely. They do have weapons. I don't know. Do they like to trade?
Do we speak their language? Do you speak their language? Can we communicate with them and just ask?
How different is High Elven to?
You can speak. There's enough similarities to be able to speak with them. You don't like them, and it's very hard to kick up conversation. Luckily, they don't consider other elves as inhuman, but to them it's unelven as humans. They look at humans like animals, essentially rabbits. Like they would happily kill a human as easily they would skin a rabbit for whatever. Like they see wood elves, hold no value and see no value in the concept of human life at all. They are completely other.
As we're talking with Alithea about this and trying to understand some of these things, it occurs to Talin, to me, to ask him, Alithea, is there any way that we can pass through as elves by disguising ourselves in the same way that you disguised yourself?
I doubt it, but is there? I need to ask the DM.
Okay, it might be possible. They stink of iron, and no wood elf would have iron anywhere near them. And even getting rid of the iron, the smell would radiate around them for a good while, and it'd be pretty. It's possible to get rid of that smell, but it might. Then there's the matter of, because it's not just masking the ears. Elves have a very specific facial structure, and they're usually more slender in their bodily appearance. And so, and the beards. If anyone has a beard, elves,
of course, yeah.
elves can't grow beards, and so it would be it would be really difficult. Like if anyone has any bit of a more firm jaw or is more overweight and not slender, they're not going to pass for an elf.
Okay, so I have an idea. So since high elves, we are famous for magic, right?
You have an affinity for it, but not everyone is magic, because you don't know any magic.
Yeah, yes. Is there any way that if I tell them to shave and we try to cover the smells and we cover them a bit, is there any way that I can tell them that this is something we high elves did, like a way for us to go to so that they are high elves and that we sort of masquerade them so that we could go and study the humans? Is there any way that could be possible?
You could attempt it. You don't know if it'll be successful. You get the wood elves are very untrusting from the get-go. They don't like high elves in the beginning, and so even though they are willing to acknowledge that, all right, you're an elf, you're not an animal. They have no qualms about killing high elves. You've had clashes with these fellas many times, and so even if you're able to successfully, and that would be difficult because they don't have the builds of elves. I don't have the physical their faces and stuff. It'll be very hard to convince a wood elf that these are high elves in disguise.
Okay,
and even
I have an idea.
Even then, they still might attack you for being in their land.
Okay, so I have an idea. We can pretend that you are my human slaves. I just went to the human realm.
What are you talking about? You're slaves? I wouldn't be a slave. I find that in the front. In the front, sir, I would never be someone's slave. I own slaves. Well, not slaves. I call them servants, but still.
You're heavily armored, armed to the teeth, slaves.
Well, yeah, we would have to rearrange that.
Janissaries.
Chad, you said this place was extremely well equipped with all guardly and military stuff.
Yes.
I'm turning myself into an iron tank. Any mail, helmet, the lot. I'm buying it.
There is mail, there is weapons, there is everything you need here.
Hold on for a second here, Alithea. Yeah, I understand that people of your kind have an aversion to iron and steel weapons.
Yes.
Are we protected if we armor ourselves more?
I would imagine so, yes.
Right.
Bloody good show now. I agree. And Finchard starts putting on weapons and armor, and his army, getting armored to the teeth with William. He's fully on board.
William, I've got an idea, William. Let's get lots of armor. William, where have you gone?
I'm going to drape some human mail over my horse as well, and sort of put jangly bits on it and try and give it some become. I think that could be quite useful. Do horses exist in the Fey at all of any sort? I mean,
it's more common for regular animals to slip into the Fey and stay there than not. They sometimes do get changed. And so instead of actually horses, it's far more common to find other creatures. You wouldn't know this, but Alithea would know. Unicorns are what you would usually find in the Fey, not regular horses.
Would my horse have transformed into a mighty unicorn of unique...
Not yet. That's very rare. It takes many years and many things for that type of change to happen. But who knows? You might come across one. Imagine that. Mighty steed for a unicorn.
Marvelous. Right. So we're all draped in as much iron as we can shake a stick at.
Found something.
Bows, spears, the whole lot. Really. Poor Alithea is going to be suffering.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Are you going to be trying to put that on, Alithea, or
me? No.
Yeah, that stuff will burn you.
Not a chance in Fey. But I am going to try and do something while we wait.
We're draped. William.
Maybe if we are difficult to kill and we are horrible because of the iron and the smell, maybe we would be too much too annoying, and maybe they'll just want us to get out.
Yeah. So something that you would know, Alithea, if you do get attacked, it's going to be with arrows. That's the primary weapon that wood elves use, a bow, and so it would be very beneficial for you to warn everyone to prepare for and defend against arrow fire specifically.
Absolutely, yeah. We need to go full testudo.
Cool. So what kind of poundage bows are we talking about? What kind of tips to the arrows? We need details, Alithea.
I suppose we're talking about the best archers that the world has ever seen, both worlds, I suppose.
They may be accurate, but if they can't get through our armor,
Yeah, I'm asking.
I'm just going to quickly. You haven't shot any of the bows from the realm, and so you don't know the poundage difference, if there is a poundage difference. All you know is that wood elves use bows, and they're deadly accurate. But they obviously haven't fought much heavy iron armor, there's that that could very well be in your favor.
Gentlemen, I have a proposal that we become brass necked and just try and bluff our way through as if we are heavily armed and nobody should touch us. We sort of assume a magisterial aspect and ride as if we own the place, which, quite frankly, has often been the case when I've been traveling. But I just think we should try to. We can't be silent. We can't be quiet. We can't use any form of subterfuge. We have to use excess confidence and bluster, I feel, which comes naturally to me.
May I suggest that we also travel with as much speed as possible?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. This is a dire situation. And Fincher is walking. He's clad in mail and he's got everything. He's like, if only I had my plate and my squires, it's much better. That's what I have to do. And
You normally have plate then, do you?
oh, of course I do. I watch. You've never won plate. And he's got a great sword
Of course
resting on.
you do.
That's knightly.
Yes, well,
noble.
Yes. Well, as my lord scribe, I sometimes have to wear the armor. Don't that's like clean it and things, and then wear it, and then take it off, and we have to make sure it's not poisoned or anything.
I think since we're about to go to a potential battle, I think you should come clean. I think you should tell us what on earth is going on, and or tell William while I continue to prepare my horse.
Okay, if you wish.
Arrows, you said, right? Arrows?
Arrows, very
Yeah.
much, arrows.
Right. I'll get a bigger shield.
By the way, Shad,
Yes.
is there any way I can hold a shield if they let me do it? If it's like with a wooden part?
Wooden handle? Yeah. You can actually.
Yeah, okay, so I asked them if I can
There's some
borrow a
good,
shield.
there's some good sized kite shields here, stocked well. No,
Yes.
no
Shields on
kind
the
of
back, then.
perversi around, or unfortunately, but
May
there's.
I remind the ref that he is still carrying an iron dagger?
Who's carrying it?
You are.
I would sense it, wouldn't I?
All right. Very well, Sir James. If you want me to come clean, I'll take a bath at the very next opportunity, if you say so. I didn't know I was smelling, but very well.
Definitely.
Agreed.
And I suppose I can't wear any armor, any iron armor.
Not iron armor, no.
No.
The smell would probably knock you out, being that close, and there'd be no chance that you could, regularly avoid it touching your skin and burning you with great pain.
Do they have any cuir bully? Bully.
There's gambesons.
Hey, I
Hold in a
reinforce.
wooden bucket.
I reinforce myself, so like I.
Yep, they got some good, thick, well-made gambesons, burnies, and jacks, padded jacks. There's even an arming doublet or two. There's a very well-stocked provision.
Okay, so I'd like to do that, put it underneath my breastplate, so I get a double layer.
Yep, and if you're going to be relying on gambeson, it might serve you to actually put on two gambesons to double up and just.
Why not?
You can certainly hold one in front of you. You can wear one and hold one. You can drape them over you if you don't have to worry about combat. You can basically look like a huge shambling mound.
Yeah, you're just bulky kind of thing. Oh, I love it. So,
like some giant slug. Yeah.
the soldiers are with you. They're getting prepared. They're getting, armored and prepared. They're shaking, but like, seems to be the best plan that we got. We better go with you. So I don't want to die in this hellhole.
Oh, and I actually have a question. So I am allergic to iron. Great. Do they have any bronze or brass something armor, like something older? Yeah, roll. Get this 20. Is it 20?
I got an 18. It's in your favor, but you're talking about a very, very old stuff. And so it'd be extremely unlikely that there'd be anything made out of brass.
Ornamental, maybe something that they have.
Matt, you might be able to help me out here. They had tin plating back, but it was a more rudimentary kind of way of doing it.
Well, they certainly, yeah. I mean, like Raf's brigandine, they certainly tin-plated iron, but I don't think that would protect him from the sort of allergy effect.
Yeah, it depends on the thickness. You're probably right. It might not do the trick.
The one thing I would say that they did have jacks where the plates were made of horn. Whether you want to randomly.
Well, I got an 18 on the destiny roll, which is very in favor, and so you find exactly that, a jack with horn plates.
I wear it.
you put it on. Well,
Absolutely.
Well equipped. So it seems like our heroes are prepared, especially William. He's got his gear on and everything.
Horse is ready, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we best do it here. Oh, I would say once more into the fray, but we're not so thirsty that I don't know. I'm a mess. I need a drink. Oh my god. And but yeah, so I assume you're venturing out from the town now into the Fey to make your way, hopefully, to the Fey Stone. Potentially to safety, to escape this Fey. So that's the closing image. If you can imagine this lone tower standing so oddly with this rocky ground surrounding it, just standing in this strange world and land. These heroes just armored to the teeth with metal hanging all over them, venturing out in a line, tepidly and hesitantly. They're just looking around this strange world, trying, hopefully, to survive this horrors. I don't know what could happen there. Anything could happen. We will see. We will see on the next installment on the Curse of Silverthorn. Thank you for joining us. We very much appreciate you. This is very exciting. So I shall sign off, and we shall see you next time. And also our wonderful players here, you could sign off as well and say farewell for this episode.
Cheerio.
Bye bye.
There we go. Until next time.